Just don't look. Run away.
I know.
Yeah, it rebounded a little bit this morning, but yeah, Tara's been doing some weird stuff. Luna has, and the owner or the founder, yeah, not good. It almost looks like a monumental rug pull. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, I guess my orders got picked up in Luna then.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Probably, and then some, it sounds like. So we'll see.
Right on. All right. So, hey, folks, thanks for coming out to Opening Bell, where we're going to OODA Loop our charts. We're going to find some levels here to trade to. Our goal is not to predict where we believe the price is going to go, but have a plan for when the price goes in a certain direction, up, down, or sideways. So it's not to say, we think it's going up today. No, it's to say if it goes up, we have a plan. If it goes down, we have a plan. So just remember that trading futures contains risk. Only risk capital should be used. And that goes for any really financial investment product, whether it's stocks, options. And then you can die. Stock options, crypto, you name it. So just use risk capital, please. So if you want to take a screenshot of what Travis has on his screen, a little disclaimer here, it's good to know that. So, all right, let's get to it, Travis.
Yeah, real quick, we don't talk about this much, but futures especially can be very, very risky because it's leveraged a little bit different than stocks. People understand stocks, you really can only lose about what you put into it. And that's if the stock goes to zero. And the stocks usually don't go to zero. So you might lose money in stocks, but it's not quite as volatile as a futures market where you're leveraged per point. So you have an amount like on the MES, it's $5 per point. On the ES, it's $50 per point per contract that you can leverage. So the appeal is there in how heavily you can leverage to make gains, but on the other side of that coin, people lose money faster in futures than I've pretty much ever seen in stocks, short of the person who puts all of their money in one stock and it doesn't go up the next day. But futures is very, very risky. So to anyone out there who hasn't traded very often in futures, I strongly recommend a track record and some sim practice before you just jump in the ocean, if you will.
100%. Well said. Well said.
Which is what we're here for as a group.
Exactly. We're here to share and collaborate and help each other get better in our trading and help people practice and really just work together as a group of traders. Hopefully nobody feels like they're on an island trading. With all the sessions we have, there's opportunities for anybody who wants to come in and ask questions and get some help with their trading. So all right.
Let's take a look at charts. First thing I'm going to extend yesterday's OB range before I forget. And then we'll go from there. I like looking at yesterday's. I don't always keep a month's worth on my charts. We actually just got to that area, so.
And it's not uncommon that we find a little resistance there, right?
Right. But that resistance would be against a trend, so. I'd like to take a quick glance at what happened from yesterday to today so we can see how we were really, really down. Since then and overnight, we've broken above the EMAs and we've gone back up, looking less at the candles, more at the overall pattern of the market right now on a 5-minute. You can see the candles if you open it, but a lot of times starting out, I like to just scrunch the 5-minute a little bit and say, what happened? What happened from yesterday to today? What am I about to see? What are levels that I need to look for? Like when I look at the 5-minute, I know where it's from, but you would look and see this bottom box and say, well, what's that level? I need to know what that is so I know if I trust it. What's this top level? I need to know what that is so I know if I trust it. Because if you don't know why a box is there, there's this unconscious bias that you see it turning at your level. Oh, it's turning right at my level. And if that level's not even supposed to be a level, then now you're in trouble because you're not actually lining up with the market showing you. It's just a random box. So you really want to make sure you know why they're there, trust your levels, and know why you draw them over time.
Yep.
All right, so again, 5-minute, we were down, we're back above the EMA, showing retracements in the long direction. We did push exactly off of, we drew this level yesterday on session. Pretty cool to see how overnight acted as resistance. Since breaking above it, we came back and tested perfectly at the same area. So again, it was drawn bodies to wicks around just before noon yesterday. And then we've come to the quarter tick of that area to push up. Very, very bullish signal. I talked earlier about not wanting to go short because of how clean it was coming up here and we being back above the EMAs and pushing out of a larger daily support zone as well. So we'll go look at that in a minute. Speaking of dailies, we are showing a double bar at the OB range. Just a quick note. It's like we are seeing resistance there. Does that mean it has to turn around and we trade short? Not necessarily. So let's jump in and see what's going on. Daily. So here's our daily. I'm going to stretch it and then we'll shrink and look at where these levels are from. But as of right now, you can see we've got a big pullback over the last couple weeks. Nothing but down really since April. We talked about that channel on the way down that's been held, and since then we broke out the bottom of it. Common action would be to break out the bottom, retest what was support as resistance to push down. So I will take a look at where the top of this channel is later in case we do push up. That will be one of the targets, because in a common trend, it comes back, retests that channel, and continues to push down. Whether you're on a 5-minute or a daily, markets tend to do that. Or if you're on a different asset in crypto, same thing. Markets tend to do that. Break a channel, come back, retest to push down. Stocks, crypto, SP 500. A lot of the underlying advantage here is that when we're learning the analysis on futures, we're also learning analysis for stocks and crypto and any other market out there. So
That's exactly it. You can when you learn how to trade price action is price action, right? So you can, when you learn levels, when you learn really PSR, right? Position, situational awareness, and risk management. Get good at those, you can transfer it to anything. So what I'm seeing here, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I used to think that was more of a sales pitch than a truth, and now I believe it more than ever. It used to, so if I learned to do this, I could trade anything, right? And come to find out, it's like, wow, they all show the same patterns. It was kind of true. I mean, everything is different, but
yeah, and that's the beauty of trading, is that you don't have to trade futures. You can learn on futures. I think futures is a fabulous a vehicle to learn on, and then you can go over to crypto. You can transfer it to your stocks. You can transfer it to whatever. But you don't have to be a futures trader just because you're here. You can be here to learn about price action and learn how to trade price action and take that somewhere else, another financial product. So it's really all about learning price action and how to trade price action. So PSR, position, situational awareness, and risk management. Learn that, and boy, it makes it a lot easier, I'll tell you. So looking at this chart right now, we are poised for a pullback, on this down. So what would be, Travis, if you got out your Fibonacci tool and went from this move down? We've had a move down from 4,300 down to 3960 or whatever that is. What would be a retracement on that move from 4,300 down? If we were to look for a pullback, what would be about a 50% pullback? We love to use 50%. 50% is applicable in a lot of different scenarios. So 41.28, 75.
Yeah, you see that? We're right at our key level. The 50%, maybe around 41.35, but it's literally dead center of that last support zone.
Yep.
So if it retraced to that point, we would have a 50% and an old support zone becoming resistance. And that is a very wide margin. But if on the 5-minute you saw us turn around and start in a downtrend there, that screams just jump on that trend to me. Because then we would have a pullback and a turnaround in the down direction from a place that you've already identified. Great spot for
really key level. Yeah, really key level. So again, we're using our Fibonacci tool here. We're using retracements. We're using key levels to identify if this were going to move up, where might we see it move up to? Remember, we're not trying to predict the market's going to move up today. We're trying to make a plan for if the market goes up. We have a plan where we think it might go. If the market goes down, where we think it might go. And again, too, if it starts chopping sideways, that's a big red flag to me to just say, stay out and let me wait for a good trend. So, today, I would say that a target would be to recapture this red candle to our left. That would be a pretty reasonable amount, right? That's about 50-point move up. So if we were to go up, I might look at that being my first target. And then, of course, what do we have right there? We have the bottom of that range that you have. So
I like all three. So the 4070 is near the channel, but especially the two key levels horizontally is the 4090 and then the 4130. So all three of those very key levels today.
So we might want to write those numbers down, Travis. What was that number? If the market moves up, what numbers did we talk about?
Okay, so we'll start early. Around the channel, we'll say roughly 4070, and that'll be kind of the closest one. The two heavier horizontal ones, 4090 and then 4130. There
you go. So I'll repeat that again: 4070, 4090, 4130. These are if the price decides it wants to move up today and we have a rally from yesterday. Okay, we're not predicting the price is going to do that. We're just throwing some numbers out there based on levels and where the price is likely to go if it does want to push up today. Now we've got our targets on the top side. What about targets on the bottom side?
Bottom side, well, if we push back down, the biggest thing, so I like to scrunch to show where this level's from. You see it off to the left. It's like, where did that come from? Well, the only place of support you can see that we're at now is a year ago, because we haven't been here in a very long time. So a lot of people won't have this level drawn. We talked about that a little bit this morning. A lot of people won't see a level from a year ago and assume that it would still hold even if they did see it. I personally, until a level stops holding, like it. We had it drawn before this, and since then we've turned around at this level. Really, this morning we're pushing up strong out of that level. And I talked earlier, if you wanted short, we would want to fill before the top of it. We can talk about that again in a minute. But it was drawn bodies to wicks from May. I know I'm shrinking my charts a lot. From May, specifically 13th. So 12th, 13th area, bodies to wicks. The bottom of that level, 39.93 roughly. The top being around 40.18. And
so what about if we were to go down to the next level? If this wants to drop, get back below 4,000, obviously we have 4,000 as a level there. What would we be looking for as a level below this?
I see the 40.20, the 4,000, and then under that, go ahead.
Yeah, under that, then I have on mine, I've got around 3,800, 37.97 to 38.15. There you go. Yep.
We could even
So there is a spot there where support, you have an area that's support and resistance both. So I would kind of look for that. And then I think if you even scrunch up a little more, you might see some more to the left. That makes sense. There you go. So there we have it as support. If you extend that to the left, you'll see where it was support and got above it, but didn't stay above it, came back down, chopped through it. There you go. Perfect. So I would just move that, extend that to the left. And that is a pretty nice little level right there. So again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to find levels to trade to. So, we could see a big drop. If we see a drop here, this could be a big run down. Now, do I think we're going to get 200 points in one day? Probably not. If we want to chop this level in half, we could also do that. There's also a level in between 3,800 and 4,000 that we could look at. Not quite as obvious, but there's a level probably around 3,900. Yep, somewhere right in there where the price had some resistance and then broke through and then continued on up. So that could be another level you could put in. It's not quite as obvious as the other ones, though.
I like the heavier ones for now.
Yep, agree.
Maybe if I see us, I was going to say, if we come down and go sideways for 3 or 4 days there, I might start looking and say, why would this be a key level or something? But I don't know. I agree. Tops would be a key one. So
yeah, I don't have one in yet, but I'm just keeping an eye on that because I agree with you too. If we get down to that level and we start chopping there, then I know, okay, look, and then I'll see that really on my 5 minute, my 15-minute chart, my 60-minute chart. I'll start seeing that chop at between those levels a lot clearer, and then I can go ahead and say, okay, let me look back to my left. A year ago when we were at that price, what happened? And then I can go ahead and draw a level between those two.
So underlying theme right now, we did hit this level of support from a year ago, but if we came back and retested anything between the channel, the bottom of that level, or the next one, and continued to push back down, so if you got a pattern where maybe today pushed up and the next day wanted to push back down, and if at any point we break under this 4,000 and under that support level, there's a lot of room down there.
A lot of room.
So 100, 150 points or so of just not a whole lot of anything. And if it was over a year ago. So it's really uncharted territory. You might want to reconfirm whatever levels were there are still being respected. But you can see there's not a whole lot going on between those two. We had a really clean run up.
And we don't have to look at this now, but on the ES, we're looking at the MES right now. Different product, but same price action. There was a gap that was filled last week. I think it was on Friday or maybe yesterday. From April of last year on the ES on the daily. And we don't have to go look for it now. You got to really look for it. But there is one. So I would encourage folks to go back in April and look for a gap on the daily that got filled in the last couple of days. Pretty neat. All gaps always get filled. Okay. It took a year for this gap to get filled over a year. So, all right, let's go to our 240 4-hour chart. See what that shows us. Again, bounced off that level, came down, made a new lower low, and now it's bounced off it. Now we're in that retracement we talked about. So again, where could we possibly see the price go to? Well, a retracement on that big move down, same move that we saw on the daily. Yep.
And it'll show you that key level right in the center.
There it is.
50%. 382 is the bottom of the box. Wow, look how those line up. 382 is right at the bottom of the box where we talked about it retesting 4090. 50% is right in the center of the next level up, around 4130, 4131. So,
yep.
Pretty cool for me to see. Those are two really key levels, knowing the percentage of the Fibonacci matches up with the horizontal level.
So what's our bias right now, would you say, in terms of looking for a direction?
I mean, we have a deep pullback and we're pushing up off the bottom with 3 or 4 greens in a row on a 4-hour. So until we get to either the channel or the box, it's like we've been going up, but position says we have a retracement. It just hasn't turned around yet. So that's a tough one today because we're in an overall pretty strong down over the last couple weeks. And we're in a retracement, but this retracement is only 20% and it hasn't turned around yet.
Now, if I was to look, 8 to 10 hours ago, it would have been a little more clear to me to say, wow, what a great spot for a long. Because we saw the turnaround there. We've got our doji, we've got a green candle up. Not a super strong turnaround, but still a turnaround. And, now I could say, okay, I might be trading a retracement, but it's going to be a 50-point retracement. So, but now we're kind of right in the middle, aren't we? I mean, of this little move right now. Yeah, it's a tough little spot here. So I'm trying to analyze these charts as we move forward, each one. So when I get to the 5-minute chart, I've got a real good feeling of, okay, here's what I should be doing off my execution chart. If anybody has any questions or wants to make a quick comment, don't hesitate. I mean, we've got 9 minutes till opening bell, but don't hesitate to jump on the mic or type in chat. All right, let's go. Let's keep moving.
1 hour. You saw me try and fit that red channel back to the pink, and what I've done is that pink one no longer shows on my 5-minute because I don't have enough days loaded. So I had to basically retrace the same channel, and it keeps getting skewed a little bit. Like it's not exactly accurate when I get to the 5. The pink and the red separate, and I've been trying to figure out why that happens. So that's why you saw me bending it back. I was trying to match it to the pink one to the best of my ability so that when we go forward, I'll see that channel on my 5. 1 hour. See how now we've got a red one but no pink one, and the reason is because I lost the data far enough back for the 4-hour, because that pink channel comes from late March 30th, 31st or so. I'm not sure what date that is. And then I don't have that many days loaded, so on my hour and 15-minute, all you're going to see left is the red channel that I've redrawn. And I'm hoping that it still matches up perfectly. But when I go to the daily, see how they don't look the same. I just matched them perfectly on the 4-hour, but the daily, they're different. So I'm trying to figure out, how can I line that up where it stays? Or do I just need to load more days on my hour and 5? It's probably the case.
Yeah.
So 1 hour.
Boy. Nothing really is screaming out to me what I should be doing yet, honestly. We've bounced off that key level now, headed up. But when I look at this chart, it says, wow, we're in a down move. Nothing screams that this one price wants to go back up to 4,300, does it?
Right, but at the same time, it hasn't turned around yet. We're pushing up off support levels that are as low as we've been in a year on an index that's built to go up. So it's like, do I assume down? It gets really scary. So I agree with you. This is a tough spot where the larger term move is a retracement up in a downtrend.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's a tough area to be in, because as traders, we really try and preach, don't assume where it's going to turn around. And now at OB, we're having to try and think like, is this where it is going to turn around, or do I just let it continue retracing? So my bias might be a little up, but we're getting so close to that last support level up there. I guess if we get any closer to 40.60, then I'll put a big question mark on that.
Yep. That's exactly it. Big question mark right now. I mean, my bias is a little bit long right now, I'd have to say. As we go through these charts, it looks like we're in a nice retracement on the bigger down move. But again, it's going to be tough. So we'll see what happens.
And one thing to think about, it's okay to look at the market and say, I don't know what's going to happen right this second. Yep. Our goal as a trader is to prove situations from which we have an advantage. And if it's not one of those situations, the market's different all the time. It's okay to look at the market and say, I don't know if it's going to go up or down right now. There are traders who've been trading 30 years who can read markets better than any one of us, nothing against any of us, that would still tell you the same thing. I don't know if it's going to go up or down at times. Now, they probably have better insight than other people at times, but what I'm pointing out is that the market's very random, and there are times where you don't necessarily have an advantage. And we want to take a step back until we have an advantage that we've proven to ourselves and say, that's when I trade. So it's okay to not know what it's going to do. It doesn't make me or Rob any less, I don't want to put a word there, but functional as a trader, just to say, it's a weird spot. Don't really know what it's going to do.
Well, it goes back to that O word, right? The obvious. I'm looking for something that's obvious. If I don't see something that's obvious, then I feel like I'm just either flipping a coin or I'm guessing and hoping and praying that the price goes in the direction that I want it to go. So try to find something that looks obvious. And if it doesn't look obvious, that's okay too. All right, let's go to our 15.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest gains I've had over the last couple of years is being able to identify what the market shows me that I want to happen. Maybe it's a resistance level, a channel, an EMA. I say, if it turns there, I like the trade. Rather than sitting on my hands and waiting on it to happen, I can proactively look at the market and say, I have a big advantage if this happens. And then when that happens, it's like, man, this is my plan. It's coming true. Sometimes you second guess it. You're like, it's too perfect of a turnaround and this is where I wanted it. Is it a trap? But you just got to take it.
Yep, you just got to take it. Yep, just got to take it. That's when our mind starts playing tricks on us, right?
Yeah. So 15 kind of shows that big question mark. We had a long way down, and we're recovering back up it. So
so now is this a retracement on the bigger move, or is this a move up to go up, and break some levels here? I don't know. I do know that we're at the very top of the mark though, and I really don't want to take a long right here. This does not look good. Yeah, this does not look good to jump into a long when we have this area of a big level right above us, where that's only 9 points, so or 8 point or 40. That's 12 points above us. So not a lot of room, and our stop would be really bad right now, really bad. So I would say right now, actually, my bias might be to take a short trade and maybe possibly trade a retracement because I can clear my stop pretty easily.
And maybe use EMAs as the headroom. We'll see that. But on the 15, see how we have this little red candle painting and starting to. So it's starting to show that it wants to turn here.
Yeah.
Let's go look at the 5. We got a couple minutes left.
Yep.
So 5 minutes, same thing. We've turned around the entire time we've been talking. We've been turning at yesterday's OB range. We talked about that. So strong point of confirmation here that says maybe we do go short with our stop above that area. And if I want to fill a short trade, I'd really like to fill before this last area that we broke out of, because what was resistance often becomes support. And you can see how many times it was resistance. I'll even go back to where the level was drawn from. 2 minutes left, and you can see support. 7:45 yesterday morning, bodies to wicks drawn 40.33 down to about 40.31. Kind of small range, but very, very heavy. So if I'm going short, the common tendency of the market says resistance becomes support, right? So I want to fill before I'm back at that area. So my short trade has to fill before 40.34. If not, then it's not worth taking to me. So from 34, if I took a 7, that'd put me at 41, which is very reasonable right now. We're way above that. You could even think bigger, but 7.5 would fit. So I have a headroom. If I want to go short with a 7.5, we have headroom to fill before that.
Yep. Why don't can you do, since we kind of know where the market's been, maybe spread your charts out a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we get down to get more of a 5-point scale. I know that's crazy how we're saying get it to a 5-point scale. You know, I mean, how long did a lot of us trade off a 1 point scale? You know, 2015, 16, 17, 18. We were consistently at a 1 point scale. Now, to try to get it to a 2 point scale is pretty difficult.
Not only that, I remember I was one of those people, for what it's worth. I remember when I would see somebody take their charts, shrink them, and move them just a little bit, it was like my brain exploded. We're on a whole new market. I'm like, stop, what are we doing? What's going on? Like, I just lost everything. And now it's second nature for me to just zoom in, zoom out, spread the charts out. I don't really think about it. So if that's you, just hang on to your seat. It will feel comfortable in a little bit. But I still remember watching somebody just, all they did was scrunch their charts and move it a little bit. And I felt like everything changed. So anyways, 30 seconds. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I am going to go short here with a small stop. I mean, I think I'm going to even, I think a 7.5 is fine. And then if we push up through the opening range, well, we have got two opening ranges. We might have an opening range on top of another one here in a second. If that's the case, then I'll get out of that trade short. If that doesn't work out going short, then I'll look to trade the opening range and go long off the top of today's opening range.
I kind of like that. Force trade over opening bell. I would take a 7.5 short. I don't know that I love this area, but if I'm practicing a trade at opening bell, that's it right now. So we're short from the OB. I got in a little late because it jumped up to our OB at 51.75. I don't love this trade. Like I say, I don't like it force trade because we're still going up. We're above all the EMAs, and we just showed a baby retracement. So as a force trade, I am practicing that on sim. I would not love that live. And I know I say that as it stops me out. Even if it had gone down, I had the same feeling on that trade where it's like, kind of like me and Rob were saying, this morning's a big question mark, which is, I mean, half the reason I'm over on sim and choosing the force trade. A lot of times you won't see me take a force trade over opening bell. I like to practice.
Sure. That's all it is practice too for us, for me, for opening bell. I've done pretty well on it. But today was a spot where, wow, my position was so good to go short. It wouldn't have taken that much for it to come down and then go back up in the direction that it's been going. So, but here, this is just zooming up. So we have our opening range. And for some reason, my opening range did not get put on there. Let me check.
I hate that. I just kind of overwhelmed my long bias because we started to turn at the 30-second range. But even with a baby retracement, it's like we had been going up on the bigger charts. So really tough morning.
Opening range is 40.58.5. Wait a second. On the top. And on the bottom is going to be 40.49.25.
Very, very close to yesterday's.
Very close to yesterday. Yep. That's today's opening range. And thanks to Malcolm for that.
Yeah, thank you, Malcolm. Excited to have that on mine.
Yep. So I'm going to add that to all my charts.
So all of my opening ranges will be orange for now until I might change it, but I'll try and get the indicator to do the same thing. I just have gotten comfortable with that. So if you see an orange box, it's a 30-second range. The blue ones a lot of times are the support resistance ranges that I draw. Sometimes I'll change those colors to anything else just to remember which box is which. I know I have a big purple and a white one on the daily that have been purple and white for a while. So I know that my purple one's the one from forever ago that was huge, and the white one is in the center of the big one recently. Both of those ranges I really liked recently. But again, Ninja's very fluid. You can change colors of anything you want to however you'd like to do it. So a pullback?
Yeah, I'm in opening range trade. So
oh, I should be. Thank you. I'm being slow.
Yep, I'm in. Small stop too, only a 2 point stop. So yesterday I got chopped up pretty good, and it took me quite a while to get in a trade that went ahead and almost got me back to even. And that's just part of opening range trades. I mean, this is not something that, if you're looking for a very high win percentage, this may not be the trade for you. What we're trying to do is get momentum from this opening range trade. And sometimes you have to take a couple cracks at it. So if you're looking for a trade that has a high percentage, may not be the trade for you. But if you're looking for a trade to grab momentum and have some nice gains that really just take advantage of those momentum and those little stop outs that you may get, it's a pretty good trade. So we're working on it, we're developing it, and so it came boy, that sucked. All right,
Yeah, like 3.5 up. If
Yep.
I'd gotten better position, it might have been 4.
Yep. So now we got to wait. Decide if we want to take it on the way back down. I might wait for it to come through and then retest.
That's what I still question, is whether I leave this order to get in as it breaks through. That's something I've been really kind of testing and practicing lately.
Agreed.
We'll do it this time to watch what happens. So we'll do a sell stop market on the bottom side. So it's the same order. And if this breaks out the bottom, it will pick it up. I personally, I don't like this trade right now. I'm still practicing it to see if I like it. What I'd like to see is what Rob said, where you break under and then come back to that OB range and then push down. So a lot of times that retest is a great trade, but sometimes it doesn't come back. So what I'm trying to figure out, is there a consistently profitable zone where I just take it when it breaks down through? And I don't have a large enough sample size, so we'll just let it go until it doesn't. And this morning being a big question mark tells me it could break out either way, and it wouldn't surprise me to see it really reject off of a bigger key level and push right back down through. So
Yep.
We have been down over the last couple weeks, but we're in a retracement that's going up. I mean, so many different larger term question marks.
Yeah, there really are. There we go. So we're in short. Oh, and we're out. Just like that. That's how quick it happened for me. So let's hope this isn't going to be one of those mornings again like I had yesterday. It took me forever just to get back to even. I'm back in. And hit our first pay line, boom. So now we're looking for our second pay line at 8 points. When that happens, I will move my stop up.
Yikes, I forgot to cancel it that time. I have one that moves, and I didn't mean to set it that way when I made my trade. So I have to cancel that trailing stop. Need to redo that trade. I always cancel it when I make the order so that it doesn't trail. I have it where when it's 4, it locks in 1, and that was a reduced risk type thing from the OB range, but I realized how often the OB range goes right back to the OB range before pushing forward.
Yep.
So I don't want to keep my stop in front of that area at all. What I do like to do is re-enter on that area, though, as many times as it holds.
Now, do you do a full trade re-entry? Okay, we just hit our second pay line at 8 points. So I'm going to move my gain or move my stop up to +1. So in case this decides to just come back on me and just wipe me out, wipe out my stop, I'll still make +1 on 2 contracts. So I've got a +4, a plus on this trade, a +4, a +8. And now I'm looking for my next trade to be a +12.
We just kissed my fill. And it pulled my stop up, and I'm supposed to scale out as my stop comes up. So if it gets within a point again, I'll probably take it, and that's a 10-point gain as my second 2. To answer your question, I like to be back in. I add 2 back in, whether it's hit my first 2 in my 10 or whether it only hit my first 2.
Got it.
So I will be in a full position if it only hits the 2 at 4 and then comes back. That's kind of frustrating because that one kissed my 10 and then came back and stuffed out my runner. Oh well. Yes, I like to re-enter the whole position. If I've already hit my 4 and my 10 though, I'll only add 2 more. So I'll be back in 3 instead of 4 at that point. Because at that point it will have gone all the way down to 10. Like in this case, like it did now, it will have gone all the way down to 10 and then come back up. So...
And you can see here that, boy, we've gone pretty much equal distance. We've had a swing high, swing low. So we swung high from 58 to 65, and we swung low from 49 to 39. So a little bit more on the downside, but still we have almost an equal swing high, swing low from the opening range.
Interesting.
Yeah. So which way is it going to go? I don't know, folks. I don't know. It's hard to say right now which way this is going to go.
So if you're me, do you leave this 10 or do you capture 7 or 8? Even though it already kissed my order, pulled my stop up and took out my runner.
Well, for data purposes and integrity of the data, you probably have to leave it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
You have to leave it there.
For the sample size, I leave it. But a lot of times when I'm trading, if I see it kiss my order like that, I will take maybe a half point or a point less that It's tough to say though, because it's really easy to get into that habit. So it is situational for me.
Mine just got me out. So that one was
Just got in and filled. Oh, never mind. I didn't fill it. Kissed.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it got back in and shot down like 3.5
Yep.
instead of 4. That's tough.
Yep. So right now we're really ranging, folks. We're really trying to pick a direction to go, and we haven't really found it yet. But we did get 14 out of that trade. So our first 2 trades. So we're actually at a 4. We had a -2. So we're down 2 points total.
So I got a 4, and a 3. Each with a 1 because we missed our 10. And now I'm back in, so 2 added.
Now, what I don't like about this wick here is how, if I do want to go long, how am I going to go long now? You know, I mean, what am I going to use to clear for a stop?
You still got to clear the wick. It's likely to pull all the way back. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, but to me, bouncing off the 21 is a perfect place. If I look at the fib level from all the way up that move, not unreasonable to think it could even come to the 89 at times to trust the trend. So if I'm thinking long, I still want to pull back in a turnaround that looks clean to me.
Yep. Come on, get me in. Didn't get in. Trying to get back in, and it just, for some reason, it did not get me in. I was at 4090 point. I was at 4090. Dang it.
And we're going to do it again. So limit 2. So another one, we got +4 on 2 of them. So we got +4 and +4. And now we're back into this last one.
I missed it. This was the one I wanted, folks. Yeah, I missed it. Oh well. I had it at 4090. And it did not get me in. 4049, I'm sorry.
Good morning, everyone. This is Don from West Point.
Hey, Don from West Point. How's it going, bud?
Good morning, Don.
Going pretty good, actually.
Cool. Cool. We're recording. We're live streaming on YouTube. So, folks, if you guys want to go check out YouTube, you can like us on there and subscribe. And it helps us with the algorithm. All you have to do is search for Futures Networks Live on YouTube and give it a like. Hit that subscribe button.
Rob, can you post that 30-second range? I think
Yes.
Bill's asking in chat.
Yeah, you bet.
Order canceled. Order submitted.
So what you saw me do, instead of having a 2 contract order with my stop behind it, I move my stop in front of it and put a 3 contract order. So I'll be in the same position if the market comes up, but I risk about 2 points of not being in the trade because it will stop me out a couple points positive and then get me back into the trade. So in this case, I'm willing to pull it up, and then if it continues back, I'll be back in my position, but I will have captured an extra 2 points out of that from my entry, well, 2.5. Does that make sense? Again, being the difference in the way my screen sits with a 3 sell and then my stop in front of my entry, or if I move my stop behind my entry and putting 2 contracts on it, right? And the difference is with my stop in front of it, I would capture those points on its way back through, but risk not being in the trade if it doesn't go all the way back to my order again.
Well, that's too bad I wasn't able to get in that trade.
I know, it came right back in. That's what we talked about, actually.
Yep.
Pretty cool. So it came back, picked it back up, filled for 4 again. So we had 2 sets of 4 fill. The one that was supposed to be a runner came back and stopped out at 3 points positive instead of 10 where it kissed. So
And then you also, though, you had 1 and 2 that didn't fill, right? Your first one, I think, went for a
out
negative.
the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I stopped out the top, exactly. So first one, 4C -3 on all 4. So that would be 3 times 4 is 12.
Yep.
So that'd be a -12 to start this. And there's our 10. So we're out of this completely because I took my runner out and never got it back on. So at this point, we got 10 out of that one, positive. So what we ended up with was, let's see here, 16, 26, 29 positive minus 12 gives me what? 17.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice for a little morning to start the morning off. Now we kind of go back to our regular trading. You know,
If I were to average that and say, you know, I'm a 4 contract trader, what does that equate to on 4 contracts? It'd be just over 4 points. So we took 2 trades to make just over 4 points overall, which is still a good ratio. I liked my 10 at the EMA. I thought about stretching it out, but in this case, knowing that we're in a longer term up move, I'm okay taking my profit there instead of trying to do too much with it. Kind of like we talked about this morning, I'm happy with 10 out of that 3-point stop rather than chasing too much and stopping out even again.
Yep.
And a
So now
perfect.
if we see a turnaround now, are you going to consider going long here?
Absolutely.
You bet.
If we get a green candle close.
Yep.
Because it'll be a turnaround off the 21 EMA.
You
The
bet.
headroom probably back to the opening range just because I know a lot of people go short. So I want to fill that trade before about 40, 49.
Yep.
But if we turn around, yes.
If we turn around.
As of
What
right
if-
now, we're pushing down pretty heavily. Go ahead.
Yeah. What if we get a turnaround below your level between the 2 EMAs? So now we're not really
That's
at a key
tough.
level. Yeah, we're not at a key level. We're not at EMA. So let's say this turns around. I'm just trying to prepare to see if it happens. Yeah, we turn around somewhere around, 40, somewhere in there.
So because it's off the EMAs, I like it. We would have to break back through this resistance zone. If I could fill before 40.30, that would be awesome, but it's probably unlikely. Because of how we've stretched down this far, if we get a clean turnaround down here off the 89 or 200, I will take it if I can clear my stop and then just let it be that it has to break this zone. I deem that zone as we might break it if this uptrend continues. This uptrend is shown strong enough to me off the EMAs that if we turn around off an 89 or 200, I don't like to break key levels, but being right in the center of everything, knowing I can still fill before the 21 and 10, I like that trade. So if it does turn around down here and give me a good clean turnaround and I can clear my stop, then I'll have to look at where my headroom is. But overall, 7-point candles, I'm probably thinking close to a 12-8 right now after opening bell. So it's all hypothetical. If we get a green candle, I would love that green candle to close above this level. In a perfect world, that's what we'll see. We'll see that green one come back up. I could draw in green and close above that, showing that what was resistance, I'll shrink my charts just for a second, but what was resistance becomes support. It was originally a support level, then became resistance. So if we go all the way back, see how we had support at this level, and then we had resistance twice in a row. Now we are back under it. So it's not unlikely to see the market pull back and use that to push down from. Very likely, actually, because it was already resistance before. So I really want to confirm a turnaround. This is not a place where I'm just going to jump on the 89 and say it has to go up. If I did that, I would want to fill before 40.30, and that's such a tight range that I don't like it. So I really want to let this play out, let the traders balance out, meaning let orders process over a few minutes to figure out what do the group of traders think rather than just a few of them. So that confirmation of a turnaround is a green close. Are aggressive traders jumping on this? I'm sure there's a bunch of traders jumping in at the 89, but that doesn't make them profitable over the long run just because this one fills. So I'm looking for a consistently profitable zone that I can repeat every day, and that requires me to have a turnaround right now because we're pushing down pretty hard off that opening range, and I don't want to jump in the way of it.
Yep.
So long answer, if it does turn around, yeah, I kind of like it, but I would so much rather that green close above that area.
Agreed. So and you can see how our short this morning at opening bell was actually the right call. It's just our stop was too close. That's all. And that's part of opening bell emotion, right? Part of opening bell emotion. So we actually picked the right direction. It's just our stop was a little too close.
And when in
I actually
hindsight,
got in the OB trade at 40.58 with a 5-point stop, and I still got stopped out. I was box
Yeah.
beaten.
Yeah, and you were you were definitely looking for ultimate position there, and you got it, and it still just wicked up on you.
Yep.
But in hindsight, it did turn right at the key level from yesterday, so nothing too
Did.
far out of the ordinary. Same one
Nope.
we had marked before yesterday morning that we turned at this morning. It was an old support level, drawn bodies to wicks from the morning before yesterday.
Mhm.
So pretty cool to see that bodies to wicks area that was support is resistance, and then resistance again. Not uncommon at all. I don't mean to say pretty cool to see. There's a reason we have that box extended, because this was the tendency. When it broke under it, come back, retest that level to push down. Does that mean I had to have traded it? Not necessarily. We're right at opening bell. If that happens at 2 in the afternoon and it fits a perfect trend, sure, that's a lot better of a level. Right now, it's just, in hindsight, it did kind of what it was supposed to do. No reason to say, oh, that should never happen, because we pushed down off of where we should have pushed down. And I'm sure there's some larger scale traders that caught this move. I was not one of them this morning, but there are people in this move down that are probably happy as can be right now,
You
because
bet.
the market did exactly what it was supposed to do from that level. And it didn't break above it. So I'm not jumping in the way of this again. It is an area that a lot of people would say we're still in an uptrend, but how hard we just pushed down off the opening range and off of yesterday's resistance level tells me that I really want to confirm a turnaround before I'm in long.
Yep, we're kind of in no man's land right now. You know, we do have a nice retracement on the up move from 8 this morning. So I would say that's about a 618. So somewhere right around there. Let's see what the fibs tell us. No, we're actually past. No, we're at about 76% retracement right now. If you go to the low at 730 to the high, that wick, that's a 76% retracement. So pretty deep, but we are seeing some rejection now off the 200 too. So this could be a good spot for a turnaround to possibly go long. But again, we want to have confirmation of that turnaround.
Yeah, I think I trust this all the way down to about 40, 18, 19, where our last level was. If it kind of rebounds off that and closes around 24 or so, I'd still like that as a turnaround. So I can't be too set on this is where it has to turn around. I still trust this move to about 76 on this one, just because we've got a daily level that says that's where it's supposed to go up from.
So if we want our stop, let's just say this does turn around, we're going to want our stop probably around, let's just say around 40.20. So if we count up 7 from there, or 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 would be 28. 8 would be 29. So really, I'd be looking to try to get in around 28 or 29 to go long. Because I need to clear 23. 22 3/4. So I really want to have my stop around 22. Even 21 would be good. Now this may just take off on us though. So this was the type of trade that I was jumping on too early last week, and it was coming down, stopping me out, and then going, or retracing a little further and then going. I was either taking too shallow of a retracement or I was jumping on the candle too early.
I could definitely see it. That's one big thing I've been preaching myself. I have a bad habit of that too, about halfway through the double bar, and I've really been trying to tell myself, if I let it close, that's the best I can get. If I miss it, I miss it, so be it. But when those candles close and then you get your position, that's the confirmation that everyone sees. There's no taking that back. If you get in now and this candle drops over the next minute and turns red, nobody walking up to their chart sees a uptrend after that. They still see a big wick on a down red candle that's zooming down. So once it closes green, that's when not only do we see the confirmation of the turnaround, but those underlying, a lot of people with algorithms, how are they programming the confirmation of a turnaround? How are they programming that it turns at a level, a green close? Now, what they do with that is on them. Each person is a little bit different. I'm not going to make assumptions, but in order to get into a trade, majority of traders are looking for the confirmation of a turnaround in some way or another, whether it's a 5-minute, a 15, an hourly chart, or
even on a 3-minute chart right now. We have a diamond on a 3-minute chart, but your stop, boy, you're going to have a 10, 12 point stop on this. So if you're willing to risk 12 points on this, then it would probably be a decent spot to go long. If you're willing to risk that much on this, that's could be a tough ask. So the 3-minute, we do have a diamond. We should get a diamond we'll get a diamond on the next candle here in 30 seconds if it goes green. The problem is, man, our stop's gonna be pretty bad unless this comes down a little more. So I'm looking at 29 or 30 for a limit order.
that's where I'm at, 29.50.
There you go.
So,
Yep.
for a 12.8, I'll clear my stop. I'll have my stop around just under the 200. So
Yep.
if it pulls back to there, I'll be in the trade. Problem is we just closed above that level. The aggressive trader might be entering the trade. One thing you can do, say I want my trade with better position, but I feel like it's running off without me. I'm not saying you should do this, but one thing you can do, if I'm a 4-contract trader, I can go down to 3, and then I can set a 1-contract order right off the top of the level to say, you know what, if it comes back to that level and runs off without me, then I'll be in 1 contract. But if it comes all the way back down, I'll have my full position 3/4 of the way down, which is close enough to where my stop clears that I still like it. So in this case, you might say, because of how key this resistance level is, I'll put 1/4 of my trade on if we get that perfect position from the top of that level. Now, I have about missed that position. In theory, you might have actually done that as the candle opened and decided that it was worth it, but right now I'll leave it. Again, saying that I'm a 4-contract trader. I want my position where my stop clears, so I can't necessarily enter up top where we're at, but I also think it's going to run off without me. So how do I find that balance? I might could put a little bit of my trade on, just 1/4 of it, to say if it comes back to there and runs off because of how heavy that level was, then I'll let it run off with 1/4 of my trade, maybe take a very small fill. Not trying to do too much, just let the level play out. But if it does come all the way back down, I'll be in the full trade with a clear stop.
And what about going short?
We're above the EMAs. It's scary.
No. I'm just throwing it out there because I know some people are saying, well, since opening bell, this is a first retracement trade. We have a lower low since opening bell. So,
if I'm going short, I'm probably using fib levels and looking for at least 50% pullback, just because of how we're pushing up off of resistance levels. It really scares me on the support side.
You're going to look at around the 10 period moving average, something like that.
I would want it even higher than that, probably closer where my gain is, up near that green box or so, just to say, and that's a if it turns. So we're looking for a diamond, a double bar, something up there that it does turn around. I absolutely, if I'm even thinking short, want to confirm that turnaround.
Agreed.
Because we are pushing up right off of the 89 and 200, literally picture perfect start to a really good uptrend.
Yep.
So I don't want to jump in the way of it. You'll see 1/4 of my trade picked up. We're 6 points positive now. That's the reason I left it on the top of that order.
Yep, I'm in it too.
Perfect.
Yep. One contract. I'm in it at 1 contract. I've got 2 more sitting below that.
Okay, so
very same thing you did, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah, basically very same thing you did, because I want to get in this trade. I don't want to necessarily say, oh, it's going to run off without me, but I don't want to put a lot of risk on the trade with poor position either.
Right. Still got to clear my stop to be in it. And there's a balance between the two, and I still have to stay within my max risk. So I can't just move my stop way down and turn risk management upside down. So there is a balance between the two, which is why both of us did a very similar thing where I split 4 contracts into 3 and 1. So 1 contract will hit 12 instead of the full position because I never had a clear stop.
And I'm using a 10-7. So my fill is going to be at 43.75. And the reason why I did that is I wanted to try and fill around that 10 period moving average. Because if it does want to turn around, that could be a spot where it wants to turn around. So I kind of want to get my fill before that. And if I was even to take 8 or 9 out of this one, I would probably be okay with it as long as it's more than my stop.
Bingo. that's it. I'm with you there. As long as it's more than my stop, I may take it.
Yeah. Because remember, we haven't made I guess we made a higher high at opening bell on that wick, but we're not in a confirmed uptrend after opening bell. So really, for us to be in a confirmed uptrend after opening bell, we really need to see it go through the opening range again, get up to around 40.60, and then pull back. That would be a confirmed uptrend to me. Right now, we're just kind of in no man's land. We're in our chop zone, really. We talked about what our chop zone was, and we're kind of in it right now, to be honest. But our position was really good to go long.
I like it long. I don't dislike the trend. Nothing says that we're not in an uptrend. We turned around off the 89, very common of an uptrend to see a double bar right off of an EMA. So seeing it turn around right at the 89 and 200 with a higher low that was between 618 and 70%, and then pushing up from there really says that this is a good start to an uptrend. I agree, maybe we're not confirmed 100% because this is the first retracement. We've done nothing but drop since OB, but as far as a larger term uptrend, picture perfect right now. So yeah, with a new high, I like it even more, but nothing says that this is a bad trade to go long in an uptrend. I really like the turnaround. I like that if you can clear your stop, there was headroom to fill. So I like the trade.
Agree.
Even if it turns around from my 8 points and stops me out at -8, I'll walk away thinking I made the right decision, because the advantage getting into this trade told me it is more likely to go up 12 than down 8. Congratulations. I'm hoping on mine too. There's mine too.
There you go. Boom. So we both filled on this one. Now, are you going to leave the one down there at the bottom? I don't know.
I'm not, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
So I've talked about it I don't want to say in class, but there's two different things I look for when I'm looking at, do I leave that limit order? Am I chasing a trade or do I still get into it, right? Two different things. And we talked about one of them. One of them, does my stop still clear? If my stop still clears, even if we're kind of in a green candle, we're turning around, it's like, yeah, I kind of like this, Even though I didn't get my perfect position, if my stop's clear, maybe this trade's worth being in, right? So there are times where that's one of the things I look at. The other thing, anybody want to take a guess? I know at least one or two people who know the answer to this because I've talked about it a lot lately. But if I'm thinking about getting into a limit order, am I still chasing my trade? I'll type that up top. Am I chasing a trade or still worth taking? Kind of the question. A lot of traders end up in that area of like, well, do I still like this or not? I knew where my perfect position was, but how do you draw that box on your trade zone and say, yes, this is still worth it, even if it's not a bullseye? Because there are profitable trades that aren't the perfect cup of tea, if you will, that still do very well. The other one will be, has the move already happened? And in this case, that is the one that kept me out. Let me pay attention while I type, before I type what I'm saying. But in this case, when we think about where was it supposed to go off the 89 and 200? Well, it was supposed to go really to the opening range and the last high, and it pretty much made it there. So that to me was a check mark on the move, and yes, it's already happened, so no, I don't want to take this trade. If, however, we showed a green candle going up and maybe we danced around sideways right here a little bit, I'd be more interested saying we're still turning around at the 89 and 200. We haven't really gone up yet. Still a plausible trade. But because these candles made it all the way to where it was supposed to go, now it's like short traders are jumping on. Like we talked about, if we're going to go short, that's about where we pointed at to say that's where I want it to go from. So I'm not going to jump in the way of all the people who have already filled on their trade and all the short traders jumping on. I want to get on it if that bus is still at the bus stop. And in this case, the bus went where it was going. So again, the two different things I like to look at, does my stop still clear? And has the move already happened? In this case, the move already happened, so I didn't leave that limit order.
Right. Yep. So now we wait. Now we wait. All right, folks. Hey, we're going to stop the YouTube live stream. Really fun session this morning. Thanks, Travis. Thanks for everybody that participated. For the members, go ahead and hang out. We'll keep trading today and see if we can find some other spots to get into. So we'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Thank you all for coming out. Always a good time here. And again, our goal is to help anyone else. If anybody ever has questions or needs, if you will, in their trading, please reach out. The other day I had typed out on my charts, it's what would help you the most as a trader. And a lot of people don't know the answer to that question. So I challenge anyone out there, whether you're in our group or whether you're trading outside of our group and just hanging out for the YouTube session, think about what would help you the most as a trader. Is it defining your zone? Is it more practice? Is it controlling your emotions because you know your zone, but you get greedy? I mean, there's a few different lists there that you could go through, but everybody's different. So